Hello everyone and welcome back to another AFK journey video. In this video we're going to be talking about how to prepare for Ravaged Realm, which will be coming up very soon on global. It should be coming up in 2 weeks. In the VN server it will be coming in 1 week. We don't know about the boss yet. However, we're going to be recapping all of the top charms and top heroes which were used in the previous season Ravaged Realm, because most likely many of those heroes will be the top options this season as well. That is generally the trend in Ravaged Realm, and we're going to be going over the optimal charms they were running at that time so that this can help you to put them on your sweeping list and also crafting priority to get ready for Ravaged Realm. Okay, we're going to lead it off with the Maulers. Now, these tier lists were made by Daragon, so again, huge credit to him, and we're just basically reanalyzing all of them. So in the S tier, it was Shakira and Seth. Seth was one of the hardest hitting damage dealers for the previous Ravaged Realm, and Mystic Charms actually were the best for him. Shakira, it is pretty self-explanatory. Mystic Charms would be the best for him because that will increase the attack buff he can provide to his allies during the fight, and so they were one of the top priorities to be getting from the Maulers. Apart from that, Odie also was really important, and he did well with the Insight Charms or the Gale Charms. So really, you can go for either charm set, and it was kind of debatable which one was better, and we don't know for this season. Depending on the boss, it could be either of these being actually the better choice. And then we have Elsa. Elsa did the best with the Overloaded Charms, and I'm confident this season as well she will probably do the best with the Overloaded Charms, and she was pretty important. She was used as in the top team formation. Smokey and Mikola, I mean, you guys probably already have the charms by now for Dream Realm. But to recap them, Recovering for Smokey and Arcane for Mikola, but Sorcery Charms will work on either of them as well. Then we had Kruger. So Kruger was key, and he probably will be key this season as well because of his physical defense debuff and his pretty decent damage. And Mystic Charms were the best for him. Reese, this is the thing I'm not sure about anymore, because now that we have more heroes added, for Mauler specifically we don't. We just have Gerda, and I really highly doubt Gerda is going to see any use for this Ravaged Realm. I think that would be a miracle if somehow there's some boss that actually Gerda would be the best for. But like, if we have another, for example, Celestial Hypogean added in here, it will probably take the place of Reese. But either way, Reese is the best with the Butcher Charms. If you want to prepare him for potential use in Ravaged Realm, then go for this. But I remember in the previous season that he was in the top team. However, even a no Reese team got really close in score compared to him. So like, he's on basically the threshold, the cliff's edge, that if there's another hero that comes in to make a better team, he won't be used anymore. Okay, and then the other heroes were not very important. You're gonna see here, Coco, you don't really need her for Ravaged Realm because she doesn't offer anything to the team, and unless we have some crazy high damage Ravaged Realm, which usually is not the case, you probably won't need her. And then even if you use her, you don't actually need her charms. And Soren, Mystic Charms. So Soren was kind of like a backup if you didn't have Seth Belt and Soren was good. So then Mystic Charms on Soren, it would be a good thing to consider. But Arcane Charms also work for Soren. Okay, so those are the Maulers. We're going to now move on to the Wilders, the top Wilder heroes. Now, Diurnal is here, but that was because he was grouped with the Sylvan squad with the Wilders in the previous season. Because if you don't know how it works, guys, what will happen is 1 or 2 or maybe even 3 Celestial Hypogeans will be usable in these 4 different Ravaged Realm along with that faction. So they will assign to you which heroes are usable where. But Diurnal was not really a top option. Like, actually, he was. However, there was a team without Diurnal which was doing just as well, and if not even better, even for the whales. So Diurnal was not very important, and I find it hard to believe that he will be important in this season, but you never know. And if you want to max out Diurnal's charms, it is Sorcery Charms. Even for PvP, those are the best for him. But let's talk about the 2 heroes which a lot of people have, Lenya and Lily May, who were both really top performing damages in the previous Ravaged Realm. So Sorcery Charms onto Lily May, these are going to be important. Most likely, these would be the highest damage option for Ravaged Realm, because they're also the best for Dream Realm. For Lenya, Butcher Charms, almost definitely the best. The only purple box you have here is because if Lenya was dying early for whatever reason, you could go for balance, but generally Butcher just increases their damage, so that is better. Then in the A tier, Perissa was a top damage dealer for the previous season Ravaged Realm, and she wanted to have the Haste or the Swift Charms, and that is probably the best option for her this season as well. Brian was good because he had a charm bonus effect a quality bonus that would increase the damage that your team would be able to deal to whoever he is targeting. Now in this season, he doesn't have such a good charm effect. I find it unlikely Brian will be good, but if he is good, Ruthless Charm's probably the way to go to him because that increases his damage output the most. However, Eagle was for survivability. Now, Lyca is really important for Ravaged Realm, and she was really important in the previous season. I feel like she should be even in a higher tier on this tier list. But either way, the Mystic Charms into Lyca are very important. They increase her skill power. That increases the attack speed buff she'll provide to herself and her allies each time she casts that ability, and that increases your whole team's damage quite significantly. And she does pretty good damage on her own. So Mystic Charms onto Lyca, pretty important. Gale Charms onto Floribel. Now, Floribel was not in a top team. However, if you were running her, if you had to run her, then Gale Charms are the best for her for damage. Haywin was Insight for survivability. Rainier was also usable here, and he was a top option, of course, but his charms are not that important because it just hardly increases your team damage, but Mystic probably the best. And then the other heroes here basically not used. Damien was used, however, you just wanted to give him the wizard charms just to increase his healing, and even if you didn't have them, he would do just fine. So, okay, those are the Wilders. Now, for this season, we have two new additions, Lorsan and Faramor. Lorsan is not really geared towards boss content. I find it hard to believe he'll be a best option. However, Faramor, definitely, there's no question about it. He's going to be a top choice for the Sylvan squad this season, no matter what the boss is. I can already predict that. But Arcane Charm's probably going to be the best for Faramor, although sometimes in Dream Realm he is used with Mystic, he is used with Ruthless, but more than likely Arcane are going to be the top performer like they currently are in Dream Realm as well. Okay, moving on to the Graveborns. For the Graveborns, Taylene was a part of the Graveborn. We don't know if she will be a part this season. I think usually they do keep the same heroes with the same squads, and Taylene is just such a big powerhouse damage dealer for basically any boss that you fight, and so her blast charms are really important. Carolina was actually really important, hard damage dealer, hard-hitting damage dealer in the previous season. Arcane charms onto Carolina the best. Insight onto Ludovic, although Ludovic doesn't actually do great in Ravaged Realm because it is more of like a pre-endless boss, like a Titan Reaver type thing, where HP per second damage dealers are not the top performing, and so that is why Ludovic is not actually a big priority, but you probably already have him with Insight Charms. Cecia, Gale Charms, very important. That is going to increase her damage output. And she was a hard-hitting damage dealer in the previous season of Ravaged Realm, so most likely will be good. Scarlita. So Scarlita was actually not a great damage dealer. She hardly contributed anything, but because you're so limited on options now as you go down the list, she was a bit important, and Sorcery Charms were the best for her. Now, this season, I really think, like, probably Athalia will be added in here, or some of the other Celestial Hypogean, Cryonaia twins. We have 3 new Celestial Hypogeans, and then Scarlita probably will not be used, and also not many people even have Scarlita. Now, going down the list here, basically, these were just some survivability charms, but not really too important. Nero doesn't really need charms, Eagle, but for survival. Hodgkin was one of the good damage dealer options, and if you can see behind my head, there's also Bonnie here. So Bonnie wasn't actually great for Ravaged Realm because she has AoE damage. She's not great at single target damage. However, because of her Supreme Plus ability to increase damage from magical damage from other sources on your team, I do feel like Bonnie probably will be good for this Ravaged Realm, but I honestly don't know at the end of the day as well. So Bonnie just basically isn't as great in Ravaged Realm as you can think, unless there is a boss like, you know, the Plague Creeper, which has summons, but probably we will not be facing a boss with multiple enemy targets. So yeah, but then Hodgkin was important, and Blaster Arcane both did good for him, but again, he was kind of like on the cliff's edge of being usable or non-usable. I think that if one other good damage or a good team option comes into the Immortal squad, you will not be using Hodgkin at all. And Viperon was useful, but again, his damage was kind of low, and it was either the Sorcery or the Balance Charms. Thorn was used mainly as a debuffer. His charms didn't really matter. And then Sylvina, Gale Charms if you were running her, but she wasn't a great option. And Titanic onto Igor if you were running him, but again, he wasn't a major option. Now, the thing is, this season we have 2 or 3 new Graveborn heroes. Valka, Shemira will be coming, and Callan. So that is really going to shift some heroes out. Valka almost definitely will be a good option for Ravaged Realm, probably way better than Hodgkin, and Arcane Charms onto Valka are probably the best. Shemira, we don't know yet, but we saw from the preview, basically, of the story mission on the VN server, she has orbs, and they can all be channeled into one enemy target, so even if we're facing a boss who is a single target, I think Shemira is going to get value. and probably be a pretty good option for Ravaged Realm. And I would think that she would be, even better than Hodgkin and some of the other damages we have here. Probably Scarlita, better than Scarlita. Maybe even better than Bonnie, most likely. And Callan, most likely not. Callan is just a tanky support without any debuff increasing your damage. And that usually just is never needed for Ravaged Realm. So, okay, Graveborn is going to be pretty changed with Valka Shemira being added and potentially even one of the Celestial Hypogeans from this season. We don't know. But yeah, this is going to be... I really think Hodgkin, probably Viperon, Scarlita, these are not going to be used here anymore because now that we have a lot of better options. Okay, finally we have the Lightbearers. So Lightbearers, they had the Harok and they had Fresto. So of course, Fresto and Harok, they're the dream team. They were used in every, basically all the top comps if you had them. And Butcher Charms were the best for Harok, and that was a major charm priority. But along with that, Marilee did a lot of damage. Sonya was, of course, a great buffer and damage dealer. Sinbad was a great damage dealer. Cassidy was... Basically, the thing about Lightbearers for Ravaged Realm, you have so many good options here. Like, you have... hard-hitting damage dealers, which are perfect for Ravaged Realm. You have great support buffers like Sonya. You have the debuffer, crazy damage dealer Sinbad. You have Cassidy, who has great single target damage output by blessing the normal attacks of all of your team. You have Hugin now, who is going to also give the true damage from his charms this season, who is great for Dream Realm. You have even Vala, who was good, but I think probably in this season, Vala just will not be able to see any use because of all the heroes we have. And now... along with this, we're going to have Cyran. Cyran is the only Lightbearer hero to be added this season. And Cyran, again, he's an AoE damage dealer. So the only way I could see potential use of him is if somehow the enemy has multiple spawns, multiple targets that Cyran can get value of. If not, it would have to be like what we talked about. We were speculating maybe the Ravaged Realm boss will be Novik, and then for Novik, you need to hit him enough times to basically remove his protective sigil to increase your damage output onto him. And so, like, if you need a certain number of hits, Cyran can be used for that, because Cyran's ultimate actually will trigger a damage and count as a hit, I believe, every 0.25 seconds. So it's a 5-second duration. And for every 0.25 second triggering it means over that 5 seconds, it's actually 20 hits. And so that can be helpful for removing that sigil. But that would be basically Cyran's only use. Either AoE if there are multiple enemies, or if somehow you need many, many hits, maybe it could be useful. But honestly, he has his work cut out for him because he has a lot of competition in the Lightbearer faction. Sonya, Marilee, Sinbad, even Muriel is not even up here, but Muriel now with her Supreme Plus skill upgrade is actually really good for single target boss content. Harok, Fresto, if they remain in the Lightbearer faction Aurora squad. Like, honestly, Corrin, there are too many options to choose from. It's going to be very difficult. Like, Lightbearers are the most stacked of all of the factions, especially if Harok is going to remain here, because he's one of the best damages, and Butcher Charms for Harok. Now, as for the other charms, you see here, Gale for Sinbad, Overloaded for Marilee, Arcane for Sonya. The acute charms for Cassidy were the best. Then you had, so Insight for the Corrin were probably the best, and then Rowan with the sorcery, or maybe even wizard charms, and Reaper for Vala if you're running her, Blast for Hugin, because usually in a comp the hero who is behind the Hugin ends up leaving that tile and he doesn't remain there on the mechanized bond, and then there's no value for the mystic charms. So yeah, this is a really stacked faction. So overall, this is basically just a summary of the top heroes in the previous season's Ravaged Realm, and also the top charms they were running. Hopefully this can give you an idea of which charms to prioritize from now until we get Ravaged Realm to kind of prepare for it. This is also what I'm going to be following in order to prepare my best for Ravaged Realm, even though we don't know what the boss is. This is the best we can do for right now. And then we talked about the new heroes which have been added this season, and how they might change certain things up, but just keep in mind, Athalia, Cryonaia twins, they are going to be added into one of these different squads. We don't know which one they're going to be added into, and but whichever one they're in, if you have them built, they probably will be good. Like, no doubt, I don't know about Cryonaia, honestly. If we don't get to eat her with Harok, Cryonaia is actually kind of like a liability for your team. I don't know if she's actually going to be useful without Harok support, so it would be ideal if they just threw her into the Lightbearer faction. But for the other ones, Athalia twins, definitely. Whichever faction they're going to be in the top teams. No question about it. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Is there anything that you disagree with in what we talked about today? Or do you have any other tips for preparing for Ravaged Realm? Let me know in the comment section. But thank you guys for watching. I'll hopefully see you in the next video. If you're not already subscribed to our YouTube channel, please smash that subscribe button. Thank you guys for the support. Also, feel free to join my AFK Journey Discord server. There's a link to that in the description of this video. We have a bunch of active members, and I look forward to chatting with you there more or talking about anything related to AFK Journey. But thanks for watching. I'll hopefully see you in the next video. And until then, everyone, peace out for now.